Alright, so something different for the channel, like a separate playlist maybe. So alternate ending idea for Interstellar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, if you saw our pop podium on this, Steven has seen this movie 4 times. I watched it once with him very recently.
Traumatized.
And I immediately had an idea for how it could have ended differently, and Steven very much enjoyed it. So we thought we'd share with you guys, see what you think. I'll just put my idea out there. And it's not only how I think it should have ended, it's also where I thought they were going with it before I saw what actually happened. Yeah. So, which is an important distinction. But, if you remember, this takes place right after he goes through the Tesseract, and basically it kind of just teleports him out back in our solar system.
Yeah.
So, at this point, what I thought the movie was going to do, and how I think it should have ended, was because he was by Jupiter.
Saturn,
sorry.
Yeah, Saturn.
Yeah, Saturn, yeah. He was by Saturn, and he had like a few minutes of oxygen left, and the traveling space station picked him up. Now, at this point, we knew that the wormhole was right by Saturn. So I thought that somehow he hadn't, traveled 20 years in the future again, because he was in the Tesseract, so anything was possible with a time thing.
Yeah.
So I thought they shot him back in time, in a way, back to when his daughter had figured out the gravity problem, and she finally launched, the station off of Earth, and I thought all of humanity was moving towards Saturn to the wormhole to meet up with Anne Hathaway's character, on the planet where she was like starting the colony. And so I thought they were on their way to that wormhole, and his daughter was like, around the same age as him, a couple years older than him, I think.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And then, because she had just figured out the problem, the gravity problem, so they would have just launched recently, and they would have picked him up, and like, oh, perfect time, we're on the way to the wormhole, and then from there it could have taken off. Now, would have been, good timing, coincidence? Sure, but he was also in a Tesseract.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you kind of let things go at that point.
He was in a Tesseract where he was telling his daughter how to solve the equation.
I think we can do with a little bit of a coincidence there. But
okay, the first 90% of the movie is like, okay, this is a hard movie. And it's like Tesseract, okay, now you can do whatever you want, right?
Exactly. Now you've opened up the laws to do whatever you want. And to me, it would have made sense to have it where, he wakes up in the hospital bed again because he was low on oxygen.
You want to know why it would have made more sense?
Why?
I just thought of this right now. If she was the same age as what we saw in most of the movie, 23, 30?
Yeah.
The last scene in the Tesseract that he can interact with her, she's that age.
Yeah, that's why I thought that too. Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
Exactly, yeah. And then I think it would have been nice because they made a big deal about him saying, oh, we're going to be the same age by the time I come back. Since she was because we know her birthday had passed and she was sending that message to him, I think it would have been nice. It was like a couple years later.
Like 3 years later.
And just like when he wakes up in the hospital bed from space and he's on the space station, she could have made a nice little like passing line about like, hey, you're a couple years late there, Dad. But it would have been very nice and touching, and she wouldn't be about to die. And since we all love the father-daughter relationship theme so much,
very important.
We can end on a positive note where they're like they can enjoy life together.
Yeah. So, not even just that though. Like, yeah, could have given a much happier end to the movie. So, the trauma of the movie.
The trauma was released a little bit.
But think about it. Think of how high that high would have been with all the trauma of the movie.
Exactly.
It would have been really cool. But also, from the perspective of, hey, they just created like artificial gravity and stuff. You could open up a franchise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not only that, because I do definitely agree with that too. But just when you watch the movie, it almost kind of like is very confusing with what actually happened, because what actually what happens is like, oh, your daughter's coming from a different space station to this one, and she's all this and that, and then you realize that they're not actually on their way to the wormhole. They're just kind of all in different space stations, almost like a WALL-E, like a WALL-E situation, and they're just orbiting Saturn. And it's like, I thought the whole point was to get off Earth and go through that wormhole, like take everyone through a wormhole after you found a livable planet, which is what Anne Hathaway had done.
Yeah.
Right? And then have them go there, which, actually at this point, Anne Hathaway probably would have been dead because she wasn't in the Tesseract. So she was under the 20, in my version of the ending, I mean. So she could have been dead already. The colony could have been established. So, either way, they couldn't do anything with that time thing, though. But it just seems like the more logical ending, based on what the characters were telling us their goal was the whole time, would have it where Murph figures out the gravity problem, and then they're on their way to the wormhole.
Yep.
Instead of, oh, we figured out the problem, so we're just going to kind of be content with just kind of orbiting for years and years and years, like literally decades. And it's like, wait, I thought the end goal was to get through the wormhole. But they kind of just gave up. And like, my thing was, if you're going to do that, fine. But like, give us a couple lines explaining that the plan changed. Because it was my first time watching it, but I was kind of like very much like, wait, what's going on? I thought they were supposed to be going to the wormhole, but like no one's talking about that. And then like Matthew McConaughey took that ship at the end by himself to go find Anne Hathaway.
Murph tells him.
Yeah, Murph told, just go find her. She's alone. And it's like, wait, hold up. I thought everyone was supposed to go. Why is he going by himself? Like, I'm sure...
Well, no, she does say... That's even more confusing. She literally says, waiting for us.
Yeah, she's waiting for us.
She does
say that, yeah. But it's like, why aren't you guys going there then?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense to me.
Waiting for us and we're just here for 7 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, Matthew McConaughey had to steal that ship.
Like, which is also...
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't he be allowed to go? Like, he had to sneak out. Like, I thought their goal was to get there. When they wanted to go find us.
But also, like... So, I feel like they took a lot of logical things... Because, honestly, it made more sense. He comes back out. He only has 2 minutes left. Oh, nice movie coincidence happens.
Yeah.
Because it's a movie.
Fair.
They literally just left Earth, like you said, right? And...
On the way to the wormhole.
On the way to the wormhole.
To
finish the whole task.
Yeah.
Not kill everybody on Earth. Like...
Yeah.
Like the Dr. Brand? Was that his name?
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Like Michael Caine said.
That's Michael Caine who kept saying, do not go
quietly into
the night, yeah.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
All of that makes more sense, but the other reasons why it makes more sense is you're not orbiting a gaseous planet for like decades. Not even going on like by the way, Saturn has 2 moons that people think could be viable. Didn't even do that.
No, they're on space stations.
They're just orbiting the main planet, which is weird. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Maybe the wormhole disappeared. They didn't mention that.
Well, it couldn't have because he went through it to find Anne Hathaway.
Had to.
So it didn't disappear. They I don't know.
And then you have the whole... Alright, like for instance, if you're going to be orbiting Saturn for that long, how many resources are you going to need? Why not just go through the wormhole to the planet that has more resources?
Yeah. It seems like they kind of set up like farming on these space stations, which is fine and dandy. But like, it just, I don't know, just really seems like the whole plan was like kind of futile. But then he ends up going to find Anne Hathaway anyway.
Well, the other thing is I was going to ask is like, so how long took him to build those ships then? You're telling me everybody on Earth is about to die, and you took, what, a decade to build the ships?
Yeah, exactly. Because they had the one. I don't think they mentioned having any more than the one.
They only mentioned the one.
They're like, oh, it's kind of like Noah's Ark. We got to kind of just get off and get out of here. But then they have like a bunch.
They said they alluded to them being at least 7.
Yeah.
That was like the implication was there's more than like a couple.
Yeah, there's more than a couple. Like we know there's definitely at least 2 because Murph came in from a different one. So definitely at least 2. But like, when did you build that if you were orbiting? And also, why for decades? And then what? You were waiting for Matthew McConaughey to maybe come back to then find Anne Hathaway. Then, oh guys, I found out how to get back there. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what was the plan here? Which is why if they just ended it, where he goes back to when Murph was still, young-ish, like when we last seen her in the bedroom with the watch and all that. It was okay, perfect timing. Again, movie coincidence. We will allow that because it's a movie.
Yeah.
And it makes for a better ending, I think. And they'll just go to the colony.
And that line she gives him, like, my dad gave me a promise, still would have made me cry.
Yeah.
Still would have done
nice.
that.
I think the movie was so heavy. Also, like me selfishly wanting a nicer ending. I think the movie was so heavy that it would have been a nice release to be like, he gets to go explore the cosmos or whatever with his daughter and have a whole life where they basically get to live the same amount of time, which is a very nice thing. They were very close. It kind of sucked that after everything we see with them, she dies like minutes later after he meets her again. And also it's like you brought this up, he seemed like not bothered after she died.
Yeah, really.
He's like, oh, I'm gonna go find Hathaway now. And he just didn't seem to care at all.
There's that scene literally moments after she dies. And you'd expect this guy literally spent the entire movie worrying about getting back to his daughter. Yeah. Worrying that he lied to his daughter that he wasn't going to get back. The whole scene crying, bawling his eyes out. Yeah. Oh, she's dead. I'm going to go enjoy the universe now. Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah, not to mention that scene after the docking scene when like he's getting Anne Hathaway to slingshot back to the planet she wants to get to. When like he finds out they wasted 23 years and his daughter's like probably really old or dead. That he kind of like, okay, and he just lets himself go into the black hole because he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Which was like, I think that made sense for his character. But then he sees her die, and yeah, okay, she was surrounded by loved ones and she had a family, but that still sucks for him. Like, you're telling me he's not depressed by that?
Yeah.
Like, he saw his daughter die as an old lady, but he's like, I'm going to find Anne Hathaway.
Here's my kind of thing, honestly. In that moment, take his character. That should be a whole half of the movie now. Him going through the fucking... him going through the depression.
The stages of grief, the 5... Yeah.
Like, at least another 30 minutes of this poor dude.
He was very hopeful. Just like, okay.
No funeral.
No.
Nothing.
No. He just left. He immediately left to go find Anne Hathaway.
Weird. It was weird.
It was a little bit jarring.
Meanwhile, they could have had the whole leaving to go find Anne Hathaway scene with his daughter.
Yeah, with all of humanity as well, because he could have told him, okay, I know how to get there. Go
and that would also make more sense. Yeah. Hey, why were you guys orbiting for maybe a year? Well, we didn't know where to go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we got stuck. We were worried. Oh, perfect timing. You showed up. Yeah. Let's go.
Same guy who perfect timing wise is the reason why they figured out how anti-gravity works.
Exactly. If you can accept that scene in the Tesseract, you can accept the perfect timing.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
Like, okay. So that's the idea, basically.
I think it's a really good idea. And the other thing for me is I asked my mom this question because she liked Interstellar, but when I told her your ending, she was like, I probably would rewatch the movie.
I probably would too, because it's more hopeful.
And I feel like it may have done better because that is the one sci-fi trope they kind of did follow where it they gave you that like cold ending.
Yeah,
they did.
100%. Yep.
After giving you a very warm story,
the ending
they gave you a cold ending. Yeah. Where it was like they could have given you a very warm ending to really wrap up this whole story, to excuse the trauma of the entire movie, but make it so that you left the theater not with wow, that was heavy and really scientific, but it was really scientific, really beautiful music. And that ending made me bawl my eyes out for good reasons.
I was happy. Exactly. Not like
a satisfying ending.
Yeah, I was depressed, like existentially, in a crisis.
Yeah, there's something to be said about giving a fantasy ending to that movie. It was like a happy ending at the end.
And I think an ending that wasn't that unbelievable.
I think the ending of her being 94 more problems at the very end of the movie.
Like I literally had so many questions for you after we watched it. I'm like, wait, like literally
he wasn't depressed. Yeah, they orbited the planet forever.
It's like the logistics of it made no sense to me, which. I did some things online trying to see people's opinions.
No one else knows, right?
A lot of people had opinions, like similar questions that I had, like why were they orbiting so long, like what was going on, and the fact that a lot of people, it wasn't just me, that had this question, goes to show that definitely could have, might have been like an actual issue that held the movie back a little bit.
Yeah,
but
because they really wanted that sad scene.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a choice Nolan definitely made.
Yeah. It was definitely an impactful scene.
It was a good scene 100%. Still.
Yeah.
Amazing movie, but I do feel like it would have been a little more satisfying.
Exactly. More satisfying.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And that's the first of alternate endings.
Alternate endings.
Alternate movie ideas. They don't always need to be endings.
Yeah, just alternate ideas. Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys
on the next one.
And the next one.